Hello class, in this video I'm going to show you how to use while loop and do while. So what you see here is an example inside my code blocks. So I already opened this file and let's go through it. All right, so this is the syntax of a while loop. Let me make the fonts bigger so it's easier to see. So this is the syntax of a while loop. The keyword is while, followed by the left parentheses, and inside the parentheses is a Boolean expression. I hope you still remember in the last module we learned about if-else statement. We also have a Boolean expression. This is the same thing. We have a Boolean expression here, and the Boolean expression is evaluated to be true or false. If it is true, we execute the statement inside the while loop. And we go back to the loop again, and then evaluate the expression. If it is true, we will execute the statement inside the while loop. We keep continue doing that until when we evaluate the expression and the expression is evaluated to false. That's where we finish executing the while loop. We will not execute this loop body anymore and we exit. So we go down here and execute the statement after this while loop. So let's look at the code, how we write that. Do you remember that in the previous module, we learned how to compare age in the if-else statement? And if the user enter an invalid age, we will not do anything. We just check the age and we say it's less than certain age or greater than, and so on. But we do not ask the user to enter the age again. So in this example, we're going to use the while loop. So if the user enter an invalid age, we will ask the user to enter the age again until the user enter a valid age. So what is the while condition? The while condition, if age is less than equal to 0, that's not a valid value. So if the user enter an age that is less than or equal to 0, we can execute a loop. So on line 22, we ask the user, how old are you? And the user enter the age. If the user enter, let's say if the user enter a valid age like 15, then we come down here, 15 is not less than equal to 0. So this condition is false. We will skip this while loop together. We don't execute any code inside a while loop. On the other hand, if the user enter -9, for example, -9, if age is -9, this condition is true. -9 is less than or equal to 0. So we will print the statement said that age must be greater than 0 and enter your age again. And then if the user enter minus 15, for example, that then we go back to the beginning of the while loop and evaluate this expression again. If it is still false, we execute the loop. And the only condition that we will exit the loop or to make this expression false is the user enter a valid age that is greater than 0. So let's run the code to see how that works. I already saved, so I didn't change anything. So I can do build and run or run. So let's say if we enter a valid age like 45, for example, then this code, this while loop, the condition is false, we exit the loop. We are not doing anything inside a loop. So let's rerun this example because I have more code below. So that's why now it's a enter as a positive value, but we can terminate the program right here by crossing that cross sign. Now let's run it again. Let's say I'm going to enter a invalid age like -89. You see the output, it's a invalid output. Let me move the screen a little bit over here so we can see both the code and the output. So age is -99 or -89. That make this condition true. We come down here, this condition is true, so we will execute this code. Enter valid age must be greater than 0, enter your age again. Nancy in will ask for the user to enter age again. Let's say I enter another invalid age, like -5. See what happened. I enter -5. We execute this line, -5, we go back and evaluate that condition again. -5 is less than or equal to 0. So this condition is true. If it is true, we still execute this loop. And this time, let's say I enter a valid age 26. Age is 26, that make this condition false. So we enter 26 and the code go back to line 25, evaluate that condition. It is false because age is not less than equal to 0. So down here, it's your age is 26. And we don't ask the user to enter age again because it's already a valid value. Now, let's move on and look at the rest of the code for another while loop example. In this while loop, we will calculate the average of all the values the user enter. So the user will enter a positive value, and to terminate, the user will enter 0. So we will add all the integer value the user enter, and we need to keep track of how many values the user have entered by the end or after we exit the while loop so that we can calculate the average, because the average is the sum of all of the values divided by the values. And just to remind you, well, the int, so current value, int value, num value, they all data type integer. So you will get back an integer value. So after this, we're gonna change to see to a different data type so we really get the actual average instead of integer, because average of all integer value may not be an integer. So we don't know how many values the user will enter. So we use a while loop and we say if the user enters 0, we will terminate the loop. So the loop will keep repeating only if the current value or the value the user enter is greater than 0. So the user either enter a negative value or 0 to terminate the while loop. And notice that outside the while loop, we initialize the value, the sum to be 0. Num values, which count how many values that the user enter, is also initialized to 0. And right now, the let's say enter a value of 0 to terminate. Let's say I enter a value 8. Hit enter. A value, my current value is 8. The while loop say if the current value is greater than 0, it will execute the loop. In the loop, I increment or keep track of the sum by adding the current value to the sum. Initially, the sum is 0. It is initialized outside of the while loop. Now, I said, whatever user enter, I'm gonna add that to the sum. And you notice that I'm using this notation, plus equal is a shorthand notation for value sum equal value sum plus current value. This is how the pro write the code. You don't have to type this variable again. So plus equal mean you take this variable and then you add this value to it, this variable to it. And you can use the same for minus, divide, or multiplication. It's all the same notation. Num value, you notice that I'm using plus plus. Plus plus is called increment operator, and it appears after the variable name. So this plus plus is the same as num value equal num value plus 1. So increment this variable by 1. In the next video, when we talk about for loop, I will discuss more about increment, post increment, pre increment, and so on, because we use that a lot in the for loop. Now go back here. It's the program say enter another positive value. So I'm the ND9. Just keep entering positive value. And if I want to terminate, I enter 0 or something less than 0 to make that condition false. And then I hit enter. So when I enter 0, this condition is false. So I exit and I calculate the average by taking the sum of all the values divided by the number of values, the count of number of values. That's another example of a while loop. The next piece of code I want to go over is what we call a do while. The do while is similar to the while loop, but there is a minor difference. If we go back over here, the while loop say evaluate the expression, and if this expression is true, execute this loop. The do while doesn't say anything, so we just loop, we execute the loop body, and then we go down here and we check the condition. If this condition is true, we go back and execute the loop body. And we keep doing that until this condition is false. So what's the difference between while loop and do loop? The difference is the while loop may execute the loop body 0 times if this expression is false when we come into the loop from the beginning. If this is false, we will not do any of these. So we will skip the loop body. On the other hand, the do while loop does not check the condition before execute the loop body. Therefore, we will execute the loop body at least once before we check the condition. So for the while loop, we may execute the loop body 0 or more times. The do loop, we execute the do while will execute the loop body at least once. So that's the difference between the two loop. So let's go down here. We're gonna revise the age problem using the do while loop. So in here I have do, and the code asks for enter your age. The user enter the age. If age is less than or equal to 0, I will go back and execute this loop body. If it is greater than 0, then there is no need to go back. It will terminate the loop or exit. the loop. And then go down here, just say print your age. So right now, let's say I enter invalid age like -22. You see, it will say enter your age again because that condition is true. So it will execute the loop body again. Then I enter another invalid value 44. It keep going, and then until I say, okay, I'm gonna enter a valid age 30, and it exit the do while. So in this video, we cover both the while loop and do while. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching.